She ran to the forest to escape her ex. Unaware, the Alpha King waited ready to claim her with a kiss. Her breath came fast as she crossed the broken stone road, her cloak pulled tight around her shoulders. The world she left behind had once felt warm, once felt safe. Now it felt like a cage. Her heart still carried the marks of someone she had trusted too deeply. He had promised love. He had promised protection. But promises, she had learned, could rot like fruit left too long in the sun. His words had turned sharp, his care had turned into control, and his love had become something that made her feel small. So she ran. Ahead of her rose the forest. Everyone knew its name, though few dared to speak it after dark. The old forest, the cursed green, a place where paths moved when no one watched and where shadows had memories. Kings had warned their people to stay away. Mothers used it in stories to scare children into obedience. She stepped toward it anyway. Fear followed her like a second shadow, but fear was familiar. The life she escaped from had taught her that fear could be survived. The trees stood tall and close together, their branches twisting like reaching hands. As soon as she crossed the forest line, the air changed. It grew colder, thicker, as if the forest was breathing her in. The sounds of the outside world faded. Her footsteps echoed softly on the ground, though she walked on leaves and moss. Somewhere far away, something howled, not in anger but in warning. She swallowed and kept going. She told herself she only needed to hide until morning. Then she would find another road, another life. Anything was better than going back. But the forest did not believe in accidents. High above her, unseen among the ancient branches, golden eyes opened. The Alpha King had been standing still for hours, listening to the forest speak. It always spoke to him. Every root, every wind, every creature was tied to his blood. He was its ruler and its prisoner both. He felt her before he saw her. A ripple passed through the land like a single clear note played in a silent hall. His hand tightened around the carved staff he carried, old magic humming beneath his skin. "A human," the forest whispered, but not just any human. She crossed the boundary without the forest pushing her away, without the magic burning her breath or twisting her path. That alone made his chest tighten with something he had not felt in centuries. Hope. He moved silently, his long cloak blending with shadow and bark. He did not rush. He had learned patience long ago, back when time still meant something to him. Below, she stumbled on a hidden root and nearly fell. Her hands scraped against the ground as she caught herself. The forest floor was cold and damp, but it felt honest. It did not lie to her. She laughed softly, a broken sound, more tired than amused. "I'm fine," she whispered to no one. The Alpha King stopped. Her voice reached him like a memory he could not place. Soft but not weak, tired but still standing. The forest leaned closer, curious. He saw her then. Moonlight slipped through the branches and touched her face. She was younger than he expected, though her eyes held shadows that did not belong to youth. Her hair was loose, caught by thorns and leaves, as if the forest itself was trying to claim her. His curse stirred. Long ago, the ancestors had bound him with ancient words. He would rule forever but never belong. He would protect the forest but never leave it. Love would be denied to him, for love could unmake kings, unless the forest chose. He had waited centuries for the forest to choose again. She pressed a hand to her chest, trying to calm her breathing. Her legs burned, and fear finally began to catch up with her. The forest felt alive now, not cruel but aware. "I won't hurt you," she whispered to the trees, feeling foolish but desperate. "I just need a place to rest." The forest listened. Branches shifted. The path beneath her feet smoothed, guiding her deeper rather than blocking her way. She did not notice. She was too tired to notice. The Alpha King followed at a distance, torn between instinct and restraint. He could step forward. He could speak. But the curse burned hotter when he drew too close. He remembered the last time hope had risen in him. It had ended in ash. She reached a clearing at the heart of the forest, where a single silver-leaf tree stood tall and alone. Its trunk glowed faintly, as if lit from within. Legend said such trees marked places where the world was thin, where magic listened closely. Her strength finally gave out. She collapsed at the base of the tree, her back against its smooth bark. Tears came then, quiet and unstoppable. Not loud sobs, just steady drops like rain that had been waiting all night. She cried for what she lost, for what she almost became, for the person she had been before fear taught her to run. The Alpha King watched, his jaw tight. The forest had chosen. He felt it clearly now, deep in his bones. Her sorrow reached into the curse itself, pulling at the ancient knot tied around his fate. Still, he did not move. Not yet. The wind picked up, brushing her hair away from her face. The silver leaves above her rustled softly, almost like comfort. Slowly, her breathing evened out. Exhaustion pulled her into sleep. Dreams came quickly. She dreamed of eyes watching her, not cruel, not kind, just endless and patient. She dreamed of warmth in a cold place, and of a crown made not of gold but of living branches. The Alpha King stepped into the moonlight at last. Up close, he looked more like legend than man. Tall, broad-shouldered, his presence bending the space around him. His hair was dark, streaked with silver like frost caught in shadow. His eyes glowed softly, gold threaded with something older than fire. He knelt beside her, careful not to touch. "I did not call you," he murmured, his voice low and steady. "Yet you came." The forest answered for her, leaves whispering approval. He closed his eyes. For centuries he had ruled with control and distance. He had kept his heart locked away, knowing the danger of wanting. But fate, it seemed, was tired of waiting. Far beyond the forest edge, another figure rode hard through the night, anger sharp in his chest. He would not be denied, he told himself. What was his would return. He did not know the laws of the forest. He did not know the king who watched from the shadows. The Alpha King rose slowly, standing over the sleeping woman like a silent guard. Around them the forest shifted, roots curling protectively, branches lowering like walls. For the first time in a very long while, the forest prepared for war. And the Alpha King, cursed ruler of shadows and silence, felt the beginning of something dangerous stirring in his chest. Something that felt like hope. Light filtered through the tall trees in thin silver lines, touching the ground like careful fingers. Birds sang in low, unfamiliar tones, and the air carried a deep, calm stillness. She woke slowly. At first she thought she was still dreaming. The forest around her looked too perfect, too quiet. The silver-leaf tree behind her felt warm instead of cold. She sat up, her body stiff, her heart suddenly racing. "I'm alive," she whispered. Her eyes moved quickly, searching for danger. She remembered running. She remembered fear. But the night felt distant now, like something that had happened to another version of herself. Then she noticed the forest was watching her, not in a threatening way, but aware. The branches leaned inward. The leaves rustled as if whispering to one another. She stood carefully, brushing dirt from her cloak. "Okay," she said quietly. "I stayed. Now I'll leave." She took one step forward. The ground shifted, not sharply, not roughly, just enough to guide her in another direction. She frowned and tried again. The same thing happened. Her fear returned, slow and cold. "I don't want trouble," she said, her voice steady though her hands trembled. "I just needed a place to rest." "You have rested." The voice came from behind her, deep, calm, not raised, yet impossible to ignore. She turned. He stood a short distance away, half in light, half in shadow, tall and still like he had always been there. His presence filled the clearing without effort. Her breath caught. He did not look like a monster from the stories. He did not look cruel. He looked powerful in a quiet way, like the forest itself had given him shape. "I didn't hear you," she said. "You were not meant to," he replied. She took a step back. "Who are you?" He paused, as if names were dangerous things. "I am the one who rules this forest," he said at last, "and the one bound to it." Understanding came slowly, heavy and sharp. "The Alpha King," she whispered. The name felt strange in her mouth, like a story told too many times to be real. He inclined his head slightly. Yes. Fear rose in her chest, but it did not push her to run. Something else held her still, curiosity, and a strange sense of safety she did not fully trust. I didn't know this was your land, she said. Few do, he answered. Fewer survive crossing its border. Her eyes widened. Then why am I here? The forest rustled. He did not answer right away. You were allowed, he said carefully. She laughed once, short and unsure. Allowed by who? His golden eyes met hers. They were not cold. They were tired and lonely. By the forest, he said. Silence fell between them. She hugged her arms around herself. If I'm not welcome, I can leave. You cannot, he said gently. Her heart dropped. So I'm trapped. No, he corrected. You are protected. That frightened her more. I don't want protection, she said. I just want peace. His expression changed at that, something dark passing behind his eyes. Peace is a rare thing, he said, even here. He turned away from her, giving her space. She noticed how careful he was not to move closer. Not once did he cross the invisible line between them. I will not harm you, he continued, but there are rules. This forest answers to me, and I answer to its ancient laws. What kind of laws? She asked. The curse stirred. He closed his eyes briefly. The kind that punish desire. She did not understand, but she felt the weight of his words. He led her through the forest without touching her, guiding her with quiet gestures and spoken direction. The trees parted for him. Paths appeared where none should exist. They reached a place that looked like a hall formed from living wood. Tall arches of twisted branches rose overhead. Light glowed from the walls themselves. She stopped in wonder. This is your home, she asked. It is my duty, he replied. Creatures watched her from the shadows, wolves with silver eyes, spirits shaped like mist, beings older than names. None came near her. She is under my protection, the Alpha King said calmly. The forest listened. She stayed. Days passed. He brought her food grown from the forest, simple, warm, filling. He spoke little at first, but when he did, his words were careful, honest. She learned that he had ruled for centuries, that he could not leave the forest, that his power came with a cost. She did not learn the full truth of the curse. Not yet. At night, she dreamed again of golden eyes and crowns made of leaves. She woke with her heart aching in a way she could not explain. One evening, as the light faded, she finally spoke the question that had been growing inside her. Why does the forest care about me? He stood across the hall, hands clasped behind his back. Because you crossed its border broken, not cruel, she swallowed. That doesn't seem like enough. It is, he said softly, to this place. She hesitated. What happens to me now? He looked at her for a long time. That depends, he said, on what follows you. The forest trembled. Far away, outside the living borders, anger burned bright. Her past had not let go. It moved closer with every step, driven by the need to control what had escaped. The Alpha King felt it, an intruder. His jaw tightened. The forest darkened, shadows growing longer. You are not safe forever, he said quietly. Her chest tightened. He found me. Yes, she stood taller, though fear filled her eyes. Then I won't hide. His gaze sharpened. This forest does not belong to him. No, she said, but my past does. For the first time, he stepped closer, close enough that she felt the warmth of him, the pull of something powerful and restrained. He stopped himself. If I touch you, he said, voice low, things will change. She looked up at him, her heart loud in her ears. Change how? Forever. Outside, the forest prepared its defenses. Inside, two wounded souls stood on the edge of something neither was ready to name. And the Alpha King knew, with terrible clarity, that the curse had begun to break its silence. End of Part 2. To be continued. Shadows moved where they should not. The wind changed direction again and again, restless and sharp. Creatures hid deeper in the roots and branches, listening. She stood at the edge of the living hall, staring into the dark trees beyond. Her hands were steady, but her heart was not. He's close, she said. The Alpha King stood beside her, silent and still. His golden eyes followed the shifting shadows. The forest whispered warnings only he could fully understand. "Yes," he answered. "He has crossed the outer ward." Her past had found the path. She closed her eyes for a moment. Fear rose, but it did not rule her the way it once had. Something inside her had changed since entering the forest. The weight of being watched, judged, controlled, it no longer felt like truth. "I won't let him take me back," she said. "You do not belong to him," the Alpha King replied, firm and calm. She turned to him. "Then help me face him." His jaw tightened. "If I do, the forest will answer." "That's fine," she said. "I'm tired of running." The forest seemed to lean closer, listening. The Alpha King raised his staff. The ground beneath them warmed, pulsing with ancient power. Roots shifted, forming a wide clearing. The air grew thick with magic and memory. Moments later, a figure stepped into the light. Her breath caught. He looked much the same as before, confident, certain, angry at being denied. His eyes fixed on her, not with concern, but with ownership. "There you are," he said. "I knew you'd mess up and run somewhere foolish." She felt the old fear try to rise. She did not let it. "I didn't mess up," she said. "I left." His gaze moved to the Alpha King and his mouth twisted. "And now you're hiding behind a storybook king." The forest growled low and deep. The Alpha King stepped forward, power rolling from him like quiet thunder. "You stand in forbidden land." The man laughed. "I don't care about your land, she's mine." The words struck her like a cold slap, but they did not break her. "No," she said clearly, "I never was." The Alpha King lifted his staff once more. Vines rose from the ground, stopping the man where he stood, not hurting him, holding him. "You will leave," the Alpha King said, "or the forest will decide for you." Anger flashed in the man's eyes. "You think she belongs here, with a monster like you?" The Alpha King did not react. She did. "He is not the monster," she said. "You are." The words felt like fire leaving her chest. For a moment everything was silent. Then the forest moved. The ground shifted, opening a path behind the man, away from the heart of the forest, away from her. "Go," the Alpha King commanded. The vines released him. He looked at her one last time, shocked not by the magic but by her refusal. Then he turned and ran. The forest closed behind him. She exhaled slowly, her legs shaking. It was over, or so it seemed. The Alpha King staggered. She rushed toward him without thinking. "What's wrong?" He held up a hand, stopping her just short of touching him. His face was pale, his breath heavy. "The curse," he said, "it does not like defiance." The forest trembled. The silver-leaf tree in the distance flickered, its glow unstable. "What can I do?" she asked. His eyes met hers. "Nothing, this is my burden." She shook her head. "You protected me, let me protect you." "There is only one way," he said quietly, "and it will bind us both." She hesitated. "Tell me," he swallowed. "The curse was made to stop me from choosing love. Only a willing heart can break it, only a choice freely given." Her heart pounded. "And the price?" she asked. "If you choose me," he said, "you cannot return to the life you knew." She thought of the past she had escaped, the fear, the smallness, the pain. "I don't want to go back," she said. He stepped closer, closer than he ever had before. The air between them felt alive, charged with something ancient and fragile. "If you step forward," he warned, "I will not stop you." She looked into his eyes and saw not a king, not a curse, but a soul held together by duty and loneliness. "I choose," she said, "to stay." The forest held its breath. Slowly, carefully, he lifted his hand. This time he did not pull away. Their fingers touched. Warmth spread through the clearing, gentle but powerful. The curse screamed, not in sound but in resistance. The forest shook as ancient magic cracked. He leaned down, resting his forehead against hers. "This kiss," he whispered, "will bind fate, not chains." She nodded. When their lips met, it was soft, steady, and full of meaning. No hunger, no force, only choice. Light burst through the forest. The silver-leaf tree flared bright, its glow racing through the roots and branches. The curse shattered like glass under pressure. The Alpha King cried out, falling to one knee. She held him. The forest roared, not in anger but in release. Then the ground trembled again, this time violently. Smoke rose at the forest's edge. Flames licked through the outer trees where old magic had been wounded. The curse was broken, but something older had awakened. She looked up, fear and wonder mixing in her eyes. "The forest is burning," she said. The Alpha King pulled himself to his feet, strength returning but changed. "Yes," he said grimly, "and this is only the beginning." It did not rush or roar wildly. It crept, slow and thoughtful, licking the edges of the forest as if testing what it was allowed to take. Smoke rose into the dark sky, carrying the scent of old magic and broken rules. She stood beside the Alpha King at the edge of the clearing, watching the flames in silence. The forest was afraid. She could feel it now, feel the fear in the ground beneath her feet, in the trees bending under the weight of change. The kiss had broken the curse, but it had also broken a balance that had stood for centuries. The Alpha King straightened his back. His breathing had steadied, but something about him was different. The endless weight he had carried was gone, replaced by something new and uncertain. Freedom. "I should have known," he said quietly. "Ancient magic never leaves without asking a price." She looked at him. "What happens now?" He met her gaze. For the first time his eyes did not hold distance or restraint, they held truth. "Now," he said, "the forest must choose its future." They moved together, walking toward the fire. Creatures emerged from hiding, wolves, spirits, beings shaped from bark and wind. None showed fear toward her. Instead, they bowed their heads slightly as she passed. She noticed. "Why are they doing that?" she asked. "The forest recognizes you," he replied. "Not as a guest." Her heart skipped. Then as what? He stopped walking. As its answer. The flames reached a fallen tree, but instead of spreading, they slowed. The fire dimmed as she stepped closer. Heat brushed her skin, but it did not burn. She lifted her hand without thinking. The fire pulled back, the forest exhaled. The Alpha King stared at her, shock clear on his face. "You're connected now," he said, "through choice, not force." She lowered her hand slowly. "I don't want to rule anything." He gave a small, sad smile. "Neither did I." Together they walked deeper into the burning edge of the forest. Where they stepped, the flames faded, replaced by new green growth pushing through ash. But the danger was not over. A deep sound rolled through the ground, older than the forest itself. Something stirred beneath the roots, something that had slept while the curse held. The ancient law. A presence rose unseen but felt everywhere at once. Balance was broken, it seemed to say. A crown was chosen without permission. The Alpha King dropped to one knee, instinct guiding him. "I will pay," he said aloud. "Take my power, take my throne." She turned to him sharply. "No." He looked up, startled. "This was my choice too," she said. "You don't get to carry everything alone anymore." The ground shook harder. The presence pressed closer, testing her resolve. She stepped forward, standing between the Alpha King and the unseen force. Her voice trembled but did not break. "I didn't come here to take," she said. "I came here to survive, to become whole again." The forest listened. "I don't want power," she continued. "I want peace for this place, for him, for myself." Silence fell. Then slowly the pressure lifted. The fire died down completely. Smoke cleared. Stars appeared overhead, bright and calm. The ancient law withdrew. The forest had accepted her answer. The Alpha King stood, disbelief and awe written across his face. "You spoke as a queen," he said softly. She shook her head. "I spoke as myself." He stepped closer, not with caution now, but trust. He placed his hand over his heart and bowed deeply. "Then stand beside me," he said, "not as something claimed, but as something chosen." Tears filled her eyes. She nodded. Dawn came gently. Sunlight touched the forest for the first time in centuries without resistance. Leaves shimmered. New flowers bloomed where ash still lay warm. The Alpha King removed the crown of twisted branches from his head. For a moment he hesitated, then held it out to her. She stared at it. "I don't know how to be a queen," He smiled. Neither do I know how to be free. We will learn. She accepted the crown, not placing it on her head but holding it between them together. In the days that followed, change spread through the forest. Paths opened. Old wounds healed. The Alpha King no longer ruled by curse or distance but by presence. And she walked the forest as its heart. Her past no longer followed her. It had lost its power the moment she chose herself. Fear no longer shaped her steps. She was not running anymore. One evening she stood beneath the silver-leaf tree where her journey had begun. The Alpha King joined her, standing close enough that their shoulders touched. "Do you regret staying?" he asked. She looked at the glowing leaves, then at him. "No." He exhaled, a sound of relief and wonder. "Then neither do I." The forest whispered their names, not as warning, but as legend. Some stories said the Alpha King finally learned how to love without losing himself. Others said a woman ran into the forest broken and walked out crowned in light. But the truth was simpler. Two souls chose transformation over fear, and the forest at last was whole.